Hey everyone, welcome to a very special edition of the Two Geeks of the New podcast, where we have decided that the three of us are all going to dive really deep into The Suicide Squad by James Gunn. Now, there's full of spoilers, so keep that in mind, but if you've already seen it, get ready to have some fun.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Two Geeks and a Noob podcast, with your host, SuperBeard Vince Hoover, and his co-hosts, Jason Q. Perez and Denise Jackson. A podcast for the indoctrinated nerd, the casual fan, and everyone in between. Now, on with the show.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to a very special edition of the Two Geeks and a Noob podcast. Now, normally when it comes to movie reviews, I do them as a solo, like a 10-minute video that'll be on the Bearder Perspective channel. However, this movie deserves more than 10 minutes, and it deserves everybody's full attention. I am talking, of course, about James Gunn's The Suicide Squad. Plain and simple, it's James Gunn's opus, and it revitalized a dead franchise for sure.
Yes.
Before we jump into the story
refreshing.
and everything else, just a very quick one or two sentence. What did you think of the movie Q?
I had an absolute great time. It was fun. It was funny. There was a lot of unexpected deaths, and it was a great ride. I'm so happy DC's got a win after everything that's been happening in their sector. This is definitely a win for them. Thank you, James Gunn, for sure.
And Denise, what did you think?
It made me question what my humor is because I was just laughing so much. I totally identified with it. I just could not stop laughing. It was hilarious.
It was a fantastic, fantastic film. I loved it so much. I've watched it 3 times now. I was actually starting a 4th time before we did this. So I love the film. It's just a lot of fun. And yeah, it's dark humor, so it's fine. You're okay. So real quick, I'll give here's what the story was. So Task Force X has apparently been around for a while. This is a soft reboot / quasi sequel to the 2016 Suicide Squad. We've got some returning characters like Harley, Rick Flag, Captain Boomerang, Amanda Waller. There's a new mission down in the fictional island of Corto Maltese. And of course, nothing goes as planned, nor is the actual plan the real plan. So shit hits the fan right away,
Yes.
and it's just off to the races. Oh, and there's a giant starfish alien too.
Starro.
Yeah,
The
Starro
Conqueror.
the Conqueror. So let's talk characters, because there's actually a lot of characters in this. There's a lot of characters in this. Let's go through the first team, because there's 2 teams.
Yeah.
In the first team, you have Rick Flag, Harley Quinn, Weasel, Savant, Blackguard, TDK, Captain Boomerang, and Javelin. Now, a lot of those characters, most people are like, who?
Yeah,
And
that was me.
And that includes me.
And that's kind of the point. James Gunn, he chose a very specific run of the Suicide Squad comic books.
Some
By John.
obscure characters.
Yeah, but he picked the run. The run he liked the most was the run that basically shaped the Suicide Squad. Just think about it like this: like Deadpool, when he was first created, was not the Deadpool we know now. There was a certain writer, and I can't remember the writer's name offhand, who took him and shaped him into what we know now, and then that people have built off of that to become this great character. Same with the Suicide Squad. When they started, they were just kind of a very serious. They're villains that have a bomb in their head that have to do a job to get some time off their prison sentence. The kind of outlandish, like, humor and the connection between the team and all that kind of the interactions, that came from John Osterman. Or was it Osterman or I don't know why I always get his name wrong. But he's actually in the movie. Like, James Gunn loved his work so much that he put him in the movie. So in the very beginning of the film, when Savant gets the bomb implanted in his head, the old doctor with the white curly hair,
Yeah.
that's him.
Right.
So let me bring it back up, and I will get his name correct. But yeah, there's a lot of obscure characters.
He played Mary Poppins in Guardians of the Galaxy. Right?
That was Savant, yes. Savant did. That was Michael Rooker. I'm talking about the Doctor. The doctor
Michael
the doctor
Rooker,
the doctor that implanted it.
Oh no, okay, yeah, I
That
missed
is
that.
yeah, John Ostrander. John
Okay.
Ostrander. He was the doctor who actually implanted the bomb, and he's the guy who created the Suicide Squad as we know it. He took what was already done and he turned it, and he did it. I think it was in the, I want to say, mid to late 70s, maybe closer to the 80s. Actually, it might have even been the 80s. But he's the one who's really attributed with creating the version of the Suicide Squad that we know now. Now, of course, the characters are always, there's always different characters brought in. Obviously, some die. But yeah, it's always full of obscure characters too. There's always one or two kind of quasi big name villains, but for the most part, it's really obscure characters. So you've got characters like Javelin, who even I was like, I don't know who that is.
Don't know. Didn't know.
TDK was really funny.
Didn't know about that one.
Yeah, so he was the detachable kid, played by the fantastic Nathan Fillion. But he's actually
I
a character
wonder why
from the
he didn't
comics.
say what his name was. Like, if he knew that his name was the detachable kid, and he was just like, "It's just TDK."
Well, because that was the whole
mystery build.
Yeah, there was the aura over who he was and his powers and how he was this secret weapon who turned out to not be as good of a secret weapon as they thought. But that character is based on the actual character called Arms Fall Off Boy.
So funny.
And the guy's whole power is he can take his arms off. So he'll
oh my god.
He will grab his left arm with his right arm. He'll pull his left arm off, and then he'll just beat you like with his arm like a club.
Oh my god.
Yep.
It was so
folks,
sad watching.
Folks, that is real. It's DC made it. We don't know why. They have their moments. But let's see. So who else?
His arms were getting shot up.
Yeah.
God.
Yeah. I did find it interesting that he got hurt. Like, whatever his arms felt, he felt. But not in a sense like, if you shot me in the arm, yeah, that would suck, but I'm not going to die. Even if, like, you could literally riddle my arm with bullets, and short of me, I could possibly bleed out. But if you hit only my arms, but he didn't bleed out, because the blood started coming out of his chest as you watch the scene, and he's like spitting up blood like it's in his lungs. That wouldn't happen. I could bleed out if you shot me in the arms, but it's not going to be like filling my lungs. Like So it was weird that his powers actually, like, whatever his arms felt, the rest of his body felt. Which I did find that interesting. So let's go over. So that's the first team. Again, you had Blackguard, who is like a.
We didn't even talk about Weasel though. Like, oh my god.
Yeah.
Harley was like, "Oh my god, I wanted to turn into a Wolverine."
It's like I never met a werewolf. I've always wanted to meet a werewolf.
Oh, that's what it was. Werewolf. Yeah. Werewolf.
And so that was Sean Gunn, right?
That's James Gunn's brother, Sean Gunn.
Nice.
Yep. And like I said, I've said this before, but I really think that being friends or family members with James Gunn is a love-hate relationship, because he'll put you in everything he does. Like, he'll put you in everything. But, like, Sean Gunn has to do all the motion captures. He plays Rocket in Guardians of the Galaxy. He's the motion capture for Rocket. So he's got to walk around on his knees or squatted all the way down all day long. He got pet by Dave Bautista. Like, that's him sitting there getting pet. But then he also got to play Kraglin, who had a really cool character arc in the thing. Then you got Michael Rooker, who James Gunn tries to kill in every movie he puts him in. So, like, it's like, yeah, we're friends, but is there something you're not telling me? Like, do we need to talk outside of this? But no, James Gunn loves his friends, and he will always cast them, including even his own wife, who is in the movie as well. She is it's Jennifer Holland, and she is one of the people that work for Amanda Waller. She's the blonde woman who works for Amanda Waller. And you also see her in the post-credit scene, which we'll get to. But so you've got the first team. You've got Weasel, who dies immediately. Like, they jump out of the helicopter into the water. Apparently Weasel can't swim. So Savant tries to save him, but declares him dead. Was he really dead? We'll find out about that later. But then you got Blackguard, who apparently decided to turn on the Suicide Squad, and he called the Corto Maltese army
immediately.
Yeah.
Like,
He called them apparently before the mission even started and sold them out. And the plan was that he would be safe while they killed the rest of them, and then they shot him in the face. And they didn't shoot him in the face, and he had a little hole in his head. They shot his face off.
No, yeah,
okay,
you
so
saw it.
here's my question. What the hell did he expect? He has a bomb in his neck. Even if they didn't shoot him, Amanda would have just killed him right there with the bomb. What did he expect this to turn out?
Well, for one, it was obvious that he wasn't the smartest person in the group. That was made very obvious throughout the whole house. Like,
Yeah.
I think that
Yeah,
I think that the deal was that the doctors were supposed to remove, like, that Corto Maltese doctors were going to remove the bomb, and I guess he didn't think that Amanda Waller would set it off immediately. But again, I honestly think that Amanda Waller knew he sold them out in the first place. I think she kind of maybe even planted the seed, because it was all part of a distraction, which led to Team 2. But we'll get there in a minute. So Blackguard gets his face shut off immediately. So now we've got 2 team members down. Then the entire Corto Maltese army is there. You've got Mongal, who is the daughter of Mongol, the warlord of, I think the planet is called War Planet or something. It's a weird name.
yeah, and man, I gotta say, I just kind of feel like she was really depowered for this depiction of her being the daughter of Mongol. Yeah, no.
Yeah, Mongol, who's gone toe to toe with Superman and held his own. She should at least be somewhat as powerful as he is, if not more. Because a lot of times in comic books, the children end up being more powerful than the parents. But even if she was half as powerful, she's still quite powerful. Which, I mean, there was obviously some power to her. She was able to leap 50 feet in the air and grab a helicopter and be strong enough to pull it down to where it messed up the flight of the helicopter. But then she gets burned alive from the explosion of the helicopter.
Yeah.
It does kill a lot of the army, but it also causes shrapnel to get sent into Captain Boomerang, and then that explosion also kills him. So now the first shocking death is Captain Boomerang, who's a returning character, and actually one of the few highlights of the original film, and James Gunn kills him off. Javelin then gets shot 50 times in the chest. The whole time Savant is still on the beach panicking. Am I forgetting somebody? Oh, no, the detachable kid, his arms all get shot up after he hilariously gets sent out as a secret weapon. His arms go out there in this weird floaty manner, and then he walks up and just starts like lightly slapping them on the head. Like he's not even doing any damage, just kind of batting them on the head.
God.
It's like a kitten. It's like a kitten batting you in the face. It was just like, okay, it's cute. It's cute, kind of cute, but stop. It's annoying. His arms get shot up, in which apparently his powers were attached to him, so where he felt everything, and he died. So now all that's left is Rick Flag, Harley Quinn, and Savant. Savant decides to divert, and of course Amanda Waller hits the switch, and his head gets blown off.
Yeah. Also,
And
what
that-
did he expect was going to happen? He was swimming out to sea.
Well, at that point, he had
Yeah.
he was so panicked he wasn't even listening. Like you hear him, he's
Yeah,
screaming,
definitely
he's
wasn't.
panicked.
He's definitely yeah.
That is the first 5 minutes of the film that I have just described.
And
Yeah.
Javelin gets smacked in the face
Yeah.
by Harley. What? What?
Yeah. Describe that
yeah.
scene.
That's a good scene, Denise. Why don't you talk about the whole javelin thing? Because it does set up for the future of the film.
It is just so funny. She wants him to finish his last words and finish that whole sentence, and of course he dies, and she's just like smacking him in the face. Like, what?
Yeah,
What
because
did
he essentially he had said, "I need you to pass on the javelin to,"
Well, he said,
or
his
something of that
wording-
nature.
Yeah, his
Yeah.
wording was, "You are the only one worthy enough to carry my javelin. There is a purpose for you with this javelin, and it is," and then he died. He died before the purpose. And apparently Javelin was on the team, I guess. I don't know if he knew about Starro. I don't know if, like, but he seemed like he said there was a purpose for him being there. So maybe Javelin was there because it could pierce Starro, which I know I'm jumping way ahead at the end of the film. But so she's pissed because she didn't find out what it is. She gets captured. Rick Flag, he doesn't get captured. He gets rescued. and it's by the resistance army that's out there. But the whole reason they were sent in, and they were basically sent to their death, because when Rick Flag says, we've been sold out, we need to retreat, Amanda Waller says, no, mission is too important, go forward. She knew they were being sent to their death because there was a second team on the north side of the island that now had free reign to move into the island because the entire army was down on the south fighting these people. That was Bloodsport, Peacemaker, Ratcatcher 2, King Shark, and Polka Dot Man. So the rest of the movie is based around this team. You've got the reluctant leader in Bloodsport. You've got the overzealous murdering psychopath for liberty in Peacemaker. You've got Ratcatcher 2, who'd much rather be sleeping than anything else. You've got King Shark, Nanawe, voiced by the legendary Sylvester Stallone. And then you got Polka Dot Man, who... Polka Dot Man, as James Gunn put it, is the stupidest character to ever exist in comic books. And that's why he loves him. But he took him from being the stupidest character in comic books to being a very compelling character.
Yeah.
Yeah, I enjoyed him.
Yeah. His thing, even though it's kind of bizarre, it works.
Well, when you find out it's an interstellar virus that actually, like, or interdimensional virus, and that those polka dots are actually very lethal.
Yeah.
It's kind of cool. I mean, it's flamboyant, as he mentions. It's like, sorry it's so flamboyant, but, like, it's a cool power. Like, it eats away at whatever it gets near, and it's kind of cool. Like,
his gauntlets are engineered in such a way that he's able to project the dots from his skin, and he can channel it to be somewhat weaponized and aim it. That's pretty neat.
And poor thing, he has to like expel it, I guess, like 2 times a day too.
And when I looked up Polka Dot Man, what I could find is the way he did it in the comics was that he literally pulled polka dots off of his shirt or his pants, and he would throw it, and they would be explosives. So that was I don't know if it was like he had a power or it was just conventional weapons. I'm probably gonna go with conventional weapons.
Yeah, I don't think it was that deep of a character in the comics. I don't think it was. I think it was just that's what he showed. Like he was like, I think he was like a scientist and he developed these polka dots he could do stuff with. But yeah, it's a really lame character in the comic books that has a lot of life here. We get a lot of heart in this movie too, though. It is very funny. It's incredibly gory, but in the best way possible. It's not at all like stomach turning gore. It's shot beautifully. There's this wonderful. Yeah. It's basically a comic book come to life. There's these wonderful, like it's almost broken up into chapters with these non-diegetic graphics of like the leaves blow on the sand and it spells out now, or the fire burns in the trees and it's Operation Starfit.
Yeah.
Like, there was ways of like setting up chapters with this non-diegetic graphics, which I thought was awesome as well.
That is so nice. Instead of just looking at just text scrolling across the bottom of the screen to get the point across.
Seems like somebody's here to sell internet stuff. It looks like. I'll be right. I gotta get them away. You guys go ahead. I'll be right back.
All right, no problem. Get ready your salesman.
Tell him he's interrupting something extremely important.
Yeah, I hate door-to-door salesmen. I hate door-to-door salesmen. Look, sorry. Here's a caveat, people. In this episode, I can't stand door-to-door salesmen. My neighborhood is littered with them. They come up to my door all the time trying to sell me anywhere from a security system to a laundry soap of the month club. Like, I've had it all. And I understand people have to work. I've done it. One of my first jobs out of high school was door-to-door direct TV sales. And I hated every second of it. It's an awful job. Nobody should do it, especially in this day and age. Everybody orders everything off Amazon, or they have their own Loot Crate or whatever. Like, everybody has, like, there's no need. The door-to-door thing is antique at best.
Yeah.
Antiquated at best.
It's antiquated.
Yeah, so like, don't do it.
You're not Jehovah's Witness? Wow. That's weird.
Yeah, I would almost prefer I would almost prefer a Jehovah's Witness at that point. Don't fall. She almost fell. It's okay. All
I
right,
didn't
you
know they
good?
were still doing that.
Oh, they're
Yeah.
in my neighborhood all the time.
What the heck?
Yeah, that
Poor
is a
things.
very.
It's raining outside.
Oh, yeah,
It's a
that's their
very.
hustle.
Wow.
Look, it's a very antiquated way of life to do the door-to-door
Yeah.
sales. Everything can be done online. Everything can be found online.
God, they're brave going in your neighborhood.
I
That is true
know.
too.
Rednecks don't play.
Yeah.
We all have guns.
So,
But okay.
Y'all are up in the sticks.
Yeah, it is
speaking speaking
definitely.
of speaking of guns, though, great segue.
Uh-oh.
Um,
Yay.
we get to where the what I'm gonna call the A team, not Mr. T, but the team that's alive.
Right.
They're on their mission, but apparently Amanda Waller figures out that Rick Flag is still alive, so they need to go save Rick Flag first because he's crucial to the mission. And so she tells them that he's been captured by the Corto Maltese army and to kill anybody they see with extreme prejudice. Don't leave anyone alive. This comes off one of the best scenes in the film, where they are going through this little guerrilla encampment and they're killing the people left and right. King Shark eats a guy, and then Bloodsport and Peacemaker.
Num.
Yeah, but then you have Bloodsport and Peacemaker doing that kind of like Legolas Gimli one-upsmanship killing kind of
Yes.
thing.
Oh, that was great.
And so
that was so
they're
great.
killing each other. There's they're killing these guys, and the scene ends
Like
with
keeping
they're
score
basically keeping
and
score.
shit.
They're basically
Like,
keeping score. It's like the final kill is Peacemaker shoots a guy, and the guy doesn't die. He just gets shot in the arm. He's like, oh. And he's like, well, that one wasn't lethal. You lose. And then the guy he goes exploding bullets. Boom! The dude explodes. He goes, nobody likes to show off. He goes, they do when whatever they show you is dope as fuck. And he goes, fuck, that's true. And
that is
that's
true.
such a brilliant. It's such a brilliant James Gunn scene.
Yes.
That is signature.
That
James
feels
Gunn.
real. Yeah.
Yeah.
It just feels like believable banter. It's great.
Every one of the characters felt real, even though they're ridiculously, they're in these ridiculous costumes and whatnot. Q, I want you to talk about the Harley scene where talk about the courting scene with the president of Corto Maltese, and then talk about her escape.
Yeah. So the president, he is attracted to Harley because he he knows that she's a major supervillain in America. So he mistakes that for being an anti-American mentality. So, and he himself being anti-American, he decides that he wants to court her and marry her because he thinks she's beautiful and everything else. So they kind of have this like montage. They dress her up like super to the nines, take her out to exotic, dinners and what have you. So then, I can't really articulate what it is he said. You might be able to help me with this, but she ends up killing him, and she's like, "Well, honey, I saw a red flag, so last time I had to learn my lesson." And so she takes him out. Obviously, the guards are alerted, and they come in to attack. She goes into what I could only describe as her Harley Quinn way of berserker mode.
Well,
And
actually, you skipped a part,
Well,
because when the guards come in, she actually surrenders, and they torture her first.
yes. Okay. Yeah, that's right. And yeah, that's a good point because that was some actually really good fighting choreography, and on top of that, so yeah, all the flowers and everything. You can see she's in that wild mind state, and it's probably something she visually sees or she wants to see. It is pretty bizarre, but that's to be expected from her.
I really feel like there's a deeper meaning here because you got to remember Harley Quinn was a psychiatrist or psychologist.
Yes.
She was a psychologist who unfortunately got her mind warped while trying to treat the Joker in Arkham Asylum, and then got the acid dip bath and became straight up crazy. And so I think she understands that ethically and morally, killing is increasingly wrong. It's incredibly wrong. And so that her mind almost like turns it into this beautiful cartoon fantasy world so that what she's doing doesn't officially affect her soul. And she's like, I'm not really killing anybody. It's all a fantasy, when she's really going to town and she is one hell of a fighter.
Yes.
Denise, what was your take on both the romance scene and then the subsequent escape, which led to the plan that never had to be?
Well, first of all, he told her that he was only wanting to date her because that's what his people were expecting him to do. So there was that too. So that totally changed like her viewpoint of how that date was going.
Well, he did say that, but he said that the initial reason she was brought there he was just, I brought you here to appease my people in meeting you, but I've actually, in this time, I've fallen for you, and I really do want you to marry me. So that was why they ended up having that incredibly rough, breaking everything in the room sex in that moment.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I know, like, you catch red flags, you do what you gotta do, so.
And when has Harley ever been subtle? So
right.
It's not a matter of her, like, obviously it's like, well, if I see a red flag, I'm going to kill the person. Like, that is literally her mentality now. If she meets anybody that she's potentially going to date, and there are red flags.
Well, that wasn't the only reason, too. Like, when he said, like, his whole plan, like, I guess in her mind, she was thinking, I'll just rid the world of this person to begin with because of the kind of person that he is, so.
Well, specifically, it was the killing of children.
Right.
Because he said
right.
that they sent they killed the entire Herrera family, including the children.
Right.
And he's like,
yep.
And he was now going to send, just like the Herrera family sent their victims to Jotunheim, he was going to send his victims and their families to Jotunheim to their death.
Right.
And to keep control of the world. And it wasn't for her, it wasn't the control of the world part, it was the fact that he was killing kids.
Yep.
And that was a big red flag for her.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Because Harley still has a heart. And I will say that I know that Margot Robbie is going to be taking a break from Harley Quinn because it is an exhausting role. She loves it, but it's exhausting. But she has also said that when she comes back, and she said when, not if, when she comes back, she would actually like to see Poison Ivy and then their relationship explored. Because now in the comics, Harley and Poison are dating.
Yeah, that's
so she would like to explore that.
They kind of went into that in the animated Harley Quinn show.
Think about it too with these movies. Like, it's really been about awful boyfriends, like awful men in her life, and she finally finds love and a genuine person in Poison Ivy, and somebody without red flags. Even though she too was a villain, but her Poison Ivy's cause for the most part is almost an altruistic cause. Yeah. She just wants plants to take over the world. She thinks man is killing the earth, which we are. So she's not wrong. She just goes about it in a very murderous way.
Yeah.
But that isn't a red flag for Harley because her reason is a good reason. And and Poison Ivy too she won't kill kids. Like, she really only goes after men for the most part.
Yeah.
So that's something that could be explored in a future film, and I hope that James Gunn is the one writing it. I know that WB wants him back. So James Gunn has a very bright future ahead of himself. So Harley's joined the team. They go to get the Thinker, played by the 12th Doctor Who, Peter Capaldi.
Yes, Peter Capaldi. Didn't really get to see him flex any power muscles.
None at all. None.
Not at all. He didn't even have his chair. Nothing. It was just that he just upgraded himself to do the things he needed to do. That's kind of what it felt like. He didn't.
Yeah. It was kind of a waste of a character, but at the same time, the Thinker in the comic books isn't the greatest villain either. So I'm okay with it. It's fine. And he got what he deserved.
Disturbing in this. Yeah.
He
was really disturbing. Yeah.
He gave the Flash a whole lot of trouble in the third season of the Flash?
Yeah.
So.
But actually, I think
much different.
I don't think he has a chair in the comic books because I think in the show it was called the Mobius chair. It was a nod to the Mobius chair that. I don't think he actually has a chair in the comic. When I've seen him in the comics, he's standing. So I don't think he has a chair in the comics. But it's a character that for a guy who's the thinker, who's supposed to be this ultra super smart guy who can plan out everything, he tends to not plan out everything. So I'm okay with that. But they get him in a strip club. We see a great Guardians of the Galaxy cameo in the strip club. There's the girls dancing on stage, and one of them the one in the front with the big red, she's got the red nightie and the big red hair. That is Palm Clementif, who plays Mantis in Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. So there's a nice little crossover. James Gunn has been very adamant that he wants the MCU and the DCEU to cross over. He wants them to cross over. He wants fans.
That would be so amazing.
He wants fans to stop fighting. He wants the.
That would be neat.
He wants the Marvel versus DC stuff to stop. And he wants to see he doesn't think it'll happen, but he's going to keep pushing for it. He would love to see a crossover between the two. If we could get a crossover like the 90s DC versus Marvel comic book, that would be amazing. Getting Wonder Woman to lift the hammer and to see Hulk versus Superman, all that stuff, it would just be so cool. We don't necessarily need the amalgamation universe.
Yeah, no, please, no.
We
Please
don't need that.
That was an absolute disaster.
Although seeing Dark Claw would be
Yeah,
cool.
that's
the Wolverine Batman crossover. Like
sure,
that would be kind of cool, but
I would have
that,
rather have had like an Iron Bat. That would have seemed like
that made more sense.
That made more sense. Or whatever.
But yeah. Other than that, that we can avoid that. But I think it'd be cool. But they get the Thinker in his usual spot. The team actually has kind of a bonding moment over drinks, waiting for the Thinker to show up. They get away and they get ready to go to Jotunheim. Now, for many people, Jotunheim is a name that might sound familiar.
Yeah,
right.
I was thinking that from Thor.
Yes,
so I was confused.
Right.
Jotunheim is the name of the land of the frost giants in Norse mythology. The reason DC can use that is because Norse mythology is open domain and Marvel can't copyright it. There's even a Thor in the DC universe.
That's
he
correct.
Is nothing like the Thor that we know of, but there is actually a Thor, and that's why you'll see, like, when there's a funny thing in comic books that still happens to this day, that they do make nods to other universes. Like there was a Spider-Man comic book with Miles Morales where they're jumping dimensions trying to find somebody, and in one of the dimensions they jump into, it smells. They couldn't explain the smell. It just smells off. And then you see just one of the buildings that's on the edge of the panel. You can see this golden globe, just part of a golden globe, like the Daily Planet. And there's a red and blue streak flying through the background.
Ooh,
So that was cool. Marvel, but when they do these jabs, they're always like little insults, but they're not insults because they hate each other. It's more like a friendly, like when you insult your friends. But the other one, more recently, was in the Doomsday Clock story. Mr. Manhattan mentioned Superman fighting Thor and a big green behemoth. Now the reason they couldn't say Hulk because that is copyright, but they could say Thor because Thor can't be copyrighted. Same with Jotunheim. I know that was a very long explanation for that.
Why Amazon has that movie called Mortal, where it talks about like him being a descendant of Thor. Okay,
yeah,
that makes sense.
I could write a book. I could write a movie right now based solely around Thor, and as long as I don't base it on the Marvel version of the character, I'm perfectly within my rights to do so.
Absolutely.
And maybe I will. Maybe I already have something in the works. I don't. I have too many other scripts that I'm working on. But regardless, we have Jotunheim, which is actually a Nazi science facility at Corto Maltese, and this is based off the rumor that the Nazis that survived World War II fled to Argentina. So in DC, they used the Corto Maltese, which is a fictional island off of South America. But places like Jotunheim are also rumored to exist. And the Nazis, especially... Jason, help me out with the scientist's name, the Nazi scientist.
Heinrich Himmler was really... He was the top occultist.
Yes.
He was also in charge of the SS. So, I mean, he was basically the secret government behind Hitler.
Yeah.
All right. If he wasn't so dedicated to Hitler, he would have taken him out and he would have been much worse too.
Well, that's what think about the Red Skull in the Captain America: The First Avenger film.
Yes.
That was basically
Right.
who that Red Skull was based on,
Mhm.
but this Red Skull being a more powerful human, he was like, no, I am going to separate from Hitler. But they
Yes.
had remember he went looking for they went to uh, using Norse mythology is how they figured out where the Tesseract was. That's
Yes.
that's all based on real stuff. Like the Nazis were deep into the occult and trying all kinds of stuff.
Yeah, they were
So
digging in Africa just like in the Indiana Jones movie. Like, yes, they
yeah,
were looking for things. They were looking for artifacts. They were looking for scrolls, and they were practicing black magic. It was also rumored they were practicing necromancy. Okay, I could go on and on, but that's not what this is
yeah.
about.
Welcome to conspiracy talk. No. When we get to Jotunheim and we find out what Operation Starfish is really about, and of course we've already mentioned it, it's Starro the Conqueror. But the big twist here, it's not just that there's this giant, mind controlling, conscious sucking starfish from space. It's an American funded project. And the real mission, the true secret mission, is that Amanda Waller doesn't want them to shut it down. She wants them to destroy all the evidence that it was an American funded project. So when that twist comes, and then the twist that Peacemaker is actually there, is the only one who knows the true mission, and the reason is because he will do anything for liberty. Denise, what was your reaction when we saw the twist that Peacemaker, who had seemingly connected with the whole team,
Yeah,
decided that the mission was first?
That kind of is his job. That's what he was signed to do. It sucked. That was a heartbreaking scene.
Yeah, so we get another major death that was unexpected.
major. Yeah, I was.
Yeah, really
maybe I should
heartbreaking.
maybe I should say a colonel death,
Ugh,
because
yeah.
Colonel Rick Flag gets murdered by Peacemaker.
Yeah,
Yeah.
God.
In a
And he
heart-
didn't want to. He didn't
No,
want
you
to.
saw
Yeah.
his face. He didn't want to do it, but he also said that he will do no matter what. Like he said,
Yeah.
he'd need a whole island full of dicks if that's
Yep.
what he needed to do for liberty.
Yeah.
Yep.
And
So that, ugh, God.
it was rough. But uh, the bombs go off early, and that does save Rick Flag in the moment until they have to fight when they both come back to consciousness from the explosion. The reason that happened is because arguably the heart and soul of the team dies. I'm talking, of course, about Milton. Rest in peace,
Poor
Milton.
Moment of-
Milton.
Moment of silence for Milton.
Um, who's Milton?
Yes, thank you. Thank you.
So Milton was just he was their bus driver. He was the Resistance Army's driver for them, but he decided to come help them place the bombs. And Harley couldn't remember who he was. Bloodsport forgot who he was, but he gets killed in Polka Dot Man. Here's the thing about Polka Dot Man is that the whole time, everybody he looks at, he sees his mother. His mother was a scientist who
Yeah.
experimented on him. That's where the interdimensional virus came from. Him
Yeah.
and his brothers and sisters were all experimented on by his mother. So he hates his mother to the point where he just envisions her everywhere. It's like a
Which
really
was
bad
disgusting
psychosis.
because that means his mom was dancing up on him in the club. So that's gross.
Yeah. Yeah, like, he's
a whole bunch of
tormented.
moms.
Yeah, a whole
But-
bunch
poor
of
things.
moms.
What I don't think a lot of people realize is that he didn't see his mother in Milton.
Oh, really?
I didn't
No,
think about
I
that.
missed that part.
Yeah, he didn't see his mother
Huh.
in Milton. He just saw a really good guy. That's why he was really distraught over his death.
Well, he
for
didn't
some
see it
reason-
in Starro either. They had to make him think about Starro as his mom.
Well, I
then.
think what was
So
happening was that you were seeing
Ah.
you were seeing the growth of the character.
That's a really
You were
good point.
You were starting to see him not always see his mother because he had connected with the team. He connected with Milton, and he was starting to
Okay.
get out of that psychosis, that depression, that anxiety of his mother. So, he
So
was
that's
growing
why
as
his
a character.
death. So that's why his death sucked too.
Yeah,
Yeah,
right.
so, like-
You're getting
so
better
everyone-
killed.
Yeah.
So, but
The end.
The end.
honestly, it's a trope. It's a movie trope. This character who's been a bad guy, but not because he wanted to be bad, but because his life has sucked so bad. He starts to get better. It's like, I'm a superhero. Wham! Giant starfish crushes him. That's a trope in film. And James Gunn, most of the time you see nowadays a movie trope, like an over and over and over again used cliche in movies.
Yeah.
You go, you guys didn't even realize the trope there. That's how good he wrote that. You didn't even realize the trope there. It's a big movie trope to see the redemption of a character only to end at the height of his redemption. And this was textbook height of redemption. He literally screams out, "I'm a superhero." Like he didn't want to die anymore. He was happy. He had a smile on his face. Wham.
Yep.
Dead. Like, and dead. Not like, could we bring him back? No. Dead.
No.
Crushed,
Hey,
splattered,
you know what?
gone.
He got what he needed.
Right, exactly.
He got his redemption though. He wanted to die the whole time. Now, granted, in this moment, he may have not wanted to die anymore. He might have felt like maybe there is a life for me after all.
Yeah.
But there still would have been years and years of therapy, and there was going to be backs and forths. He was going to have downtime. There was still a huge road ahead of him. So the fact that he had that moment of, I'm a superhero, this was the height he was probably going to ever feel. And to end on a high note is, I guess, a good thing.
Yeah.
And he
absolutely.
probably didn't feel a thing either, even though it's a very gruesome death to be splattered on the ground. He probably didn't feel a thing. So Milton's dead, the bombs go off, the fight happens, Rick Flag gets killed. In the process, Bloodsport ends up falling down in the building, aristocrats on the piano style, just boom, 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 level by level
that
by
was
level.
interesting. I was wondering how long it was going to go on for.
Yeah.
And landed, luckily enough, movie trope enough, right at the part where Peacemaker is going to kill Ratcatcher 2. Because even though Ratcatcher 2, who took the hard drive with all the information on it, because Rick Flag, which we didn't mention, the reason they were fighting because Rick Flag was done. He was fed up. He was over it. He's like, look, I have given my entire life to serving my country only to clean up their shit and their lies for too long. I'm going to show the world that America was behind this.
Yep.
And during the fight, the hard drive gets launched out to where Peacemaker can't reach it, but Ratcatcher can. She gets it and runs off. Well, now Peacemaker catches up to her. She's like, look, take it. Just take it. You don't have to kill me. Take it. He's like, no, I'm thorough, and I have to be. So he's about to kill her, but Ratcatcher promised to keep Bloodsport alive, and Bloodsport promised to keep Ratcatcher alive. So lucky enough, he lands right on that level, and with a beautiful callback shot, he shoots a smaller bullet through Peacemaker's bullet right into Peacemaker's neck and kills him on the spot. Kills him on the spot. Air quotes for my...
Air quotes.
Air quotes.
So, I guess we did skip that one. We skipped kind of the heart of the movie, actually, and I kind of feel bad about it now that I think about it. Let's go back to the bus scene where Ratcatcher 2 talks about her dad.
I was just thinking about that.
Who is played by the wonderful Taika Waititi.
Yep.
So, Denise, talk a little bit about that scene.
That is so awesome. I love that Ratcatcher 1, her dad says to her, Ratcatcher 2, talking about rats and how they are just like the bottom of anybody's thoughts. And so if we can make them something special, then why couldn't homeless people or anybody else be special too? Or why couldn't they have a purpose? That just really spoke to me. And it also speaks to her character and her heart too, because she befriends King Shark and makes him realize that they can be friends and he doesn't have to eat his friends. And she's just a beautiful character.
Yeah, and she's always sleeping.
Yeah. Oh, Vince, tell a story about why.
Yeah. So that was actually written into the character because the actress, who's a Portuguese actress, and let me get her name correct. I don't want to say it incorrectly, so I got to look at it and see. She's a Portuguese actress named Daniela Melchior. No, I'm sorry, Melchior. Daniela Melchior.
So white.
She was very much used to very small budget Portuguese film. She's been acting for a while. She's 25 years old. She's been acting for a while in Portugal, but she's not used to big budget Hollywood film. She's never done one. This is her first one. So they worked long hours. They worked big sets, lots of action, lots of movement. So she would take lots of naps during the day. And James Gunn would pick on her about it and film her with his phone, look, she's sleeping again. So they incorporated her sleeping into the character. And the fact that she's always wanting to sleep and she sleeps heavy and all that stuff.
That's
so that was
cute.
that one. I thought that was
I
really
wish they
cool.
had a blooper reel and just showed that so that we knew where that
Oh,
would
I'm
where that would come from.
there is if you on HBO Max, I believe there's at the end if you on the end of the film, if you scroll down, there's a bunch of behind the scenes stuff. I'm sure one of them is bloopers. I'll have to go back and check. But um, so the one person we haven't talked a lot about that I do want to talk about is King Shark, Nanawe.
Mhm.
Q, give me a little breakdown on King Shark in this film.
So it looks like King Shark's origin for this one is that he is a shark prince of the the king of all sharks, and I don't know really much beyond that. He was portrayed differently in the Flash TV show as a human man that was caught up in an experiment and then he was turned into a giant, man-eating shark. Nanawe is looks like he's fresh out of the water, kind of acclimating himself to being human. Not really good with the language, so a lot of his interjections into this movie is just hilarious. Um, you know, so that was really fun. It's so cool that it's Sylvester Stallone,
You couldn't have
and
got a better
I
person.
love and I like saying num num. I've said that for a while, and when he said it, I was like num num. Uh,
That's awesome.
so
His
yeah,
character reminds me of like Drax from Guardians of the Galaxy, how he just sounds like random things.
yeah,
That's cute.
he's
Yeah.
kind of like the brute force of the team. He's virtually bulletproof, even up to what 50 cal.
Yeah,
Up until he got to those very beautiful
weird,
jellyfish.
weird jellyfish
Yeah, what the heck?
thing. They were just
I
weird
thought they were trying to be
alien.
his friends.
Yeah,
Yeah,
they were the ones.
I was half expecting him to jump in the pool after he was playing with them and then eat them. So as it
Yeah.
turned out, it was the other way around.
Right,
Yeah,
right,
they
poor
tried to eat
thing.
him, and they actually did damage. They
They
were hurt,
Yes.
did.
which was crazy. I always like when I was watching it for I guess maybe the second or third time. My thought was, you guys remember Night in Museum
Yes.
with Ben Stiller? Remember the
Mhm.
big giant Easter Island head? Dum
Yeah,
Dum have
Dum
Gum
Yes.
Dum.
Yes.
Gum.
Yes. Yeah. Yes. Yes. Yes.
Yeah,
Give me gum dum dum dum.
yeah.
That
So
was
like that
cute.
that's what came to mind. Written by the great Thomas Lennon from Reno 911. Um, so, but King Shark, Harley, Bloodsport, and Ratcatcher, and Polka Dot Man at first are going after Starro, who has now escaped. He's now ripped the Thinker in half because the Thinker did all kinds of nasty, perverted stuff to him, along with experimentation.
Yeah. Along with all
But
the zombies that he created
yeah,
as
Oh
well.
yeah, that was so sad to hear.
Starro
Ugh.
created,
yeah,
or I'm
Yeah.
guessing they both did.
yeah. He was probably like putting them on them, like he was like, yeah. I'm sure the
Ew.
He
Thinker
was definitely taking
yeah.
them off. I remember them. What do they look like when he was taking
Yeah,
them off? Yeah, that was not pretty.
Wow.
and apparently,
Ugh. I just got to chill. That was gross.
yeah,
Yeah,
it was.
the way that works is like they're basically zombies, but I mean the starfish or whatever has control of them. So if you remove it, they're toast.
Well,
Yeah,
he
they even
feeds.
say that, don't they? They're dead.
Yeah,
Like if you remove these, they're
the
dead.
second it's on you, you're done. Because he feeds on your consciousness. That's what makes him grow. That's what feeds him, makes him larger. So he now has 100% control over you. But it's not like in the comics where they can take it off. You can get it taken off of you and you'll be fine. He
Yeah,
actually he feeds on your consciousness and you're done. Like your actual like it's basically, for lack of a better term, he is sucking your soul right out of you, and
Mhm.
there's no going back in the film. But Starro actually has a quite tragic ending. We figure out that the javelin does have a purpose because bullets don't hurt Starro at all. Polka Dot Man made a little bit of a dent in him. His polka dots were actually hurting him, but that's why he got crushed. But
He
Harley
like
figures
ripped
out,
off his leg. Didn't he like
yeah,
break off one of his legs?
it ate through. But what happens when a starfish loses a leg?
Oh yeah, it'll
Just
just
grows
grow
back.
back.
It
Yep.
grew
But
back.
did it grow back in that movie?
No,
I
I
don't
thought
think
it
it
just
had time
stayed
to.
gone.
I don't think it had time
Oh,
to. I don't
okay.
think it had time to, but
Okay.
it would have grown
He
back.
died.
And that's something in the comics that Starro very much, if you sever a limb, it will grow back. It actually grows back really fast in the comics. But Harley figures out what the javelin is for, and she uses it to pierce the eyeball. And piercing the eyeball isn't what kills him, though. It's Ratcatcher.
No.
She calls all the island's rats, and they climb in the hole that Harley has made. And as she's swimming in eye juice, looking around at this beautiful nervous system inside Starro, the rats go in and they start chewing away
At the nervous
at
system.
all the inside of Starro and take him down. And then he actually has like this dying monologue about how he was so happy just floating among the stars until he
But
was
that
captured.
came from one of the starfish zombie people on the ground. It didn't come
Well, he
from his
spoke-
mouth. He like
he
spoke
through
through the
them.
other person.
He
Yeah.
speaks through
Yeah.
them, yeah.
Starro doesn't ever actually talk. He talks through his people he has captured.
Oh, okay. Okay, yeah, okay.
So
But
he
Harley's
spoke
having a
through-
blast in there. She's loving it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's because she's psychotic.
Yes.
So, and one thing we never touched on before was that Bloodsport, this highly deadly assassin for hire, has a major phobia of rats. And during this scene, he is cowered down in the fetal position while Ratcatcher holds him, because the rats are pouring over both of them to get to Starro and to get to the Starro zombies, and he's basically having to deal with his fear. But his fear is not unwarranted. It isn't like most
Yeah, it
people's
was-
fear of rats. It's like, oh, rats are gross. No,
Childhood trauma.
his father, who trained him to be a mercenary from the day he was born, if he got something wrong, he would have heavy punishments, including one punishment where he locked him inside a small crate for 24 hours with a bunch of hungry rats. And hungry rats will eat literally anything, including the person in the box with them. So it was very traumatizing. But then we have somebody we've not talked about either. There's another character, a very important character that we've not mentioned, not even once. And I feel bad because this character, I think, is maybe the real star of the movie. And that's Sebastian the Rat. Sebastian the Rat, who is
Yeah.
Ratcatcher's friend, and he is
Yeah,
very friendly.
I had a lot of oh moments.
Yeah,
I did have a
Ratcatcher's
lot of
friend.
oh moments.
Me too. He was cute.
But one of the keys with Sebastian was that he can see the good in people, and he saw that there was good in Bloodsport, and he kept trying to be his friend. He tried to
Yeah.
give him a leaf, he tried to give him a piece of jerky. At the end of the film,
He was
just
waving at
decides
the girl, waving
Yeah.
at somebody.
yeah,
Is that rat waving at me?
Yeah.
I do believe he is. But at the end of the film, he decides that screw it, I'm gonna curl up. The fight's over. We're going home. Sebastian curls up on Ratcatcher's lap, and Ratcatcher very
On Bloodsport's lap.
reluctantly, or Bloodsport, yes,
Yeah.
very reluctantly pets him and accepts him on his lap, even though
It
he still
feels like
seems
a
a little
huge
tense.
block was removed in that moment.
But
Well,
you know what it was?
Maybe
It was kind of,
chipped.
yeah,
Maybe
it was
chipped
chipped because
away.
he was still very tense, but it's chipping away. But normally you see like the broken character being consoled by the character that's helping them become unbroken. But this one, it was the other way around. It was the whole character, the character that is whole, the character that is good, the character that is, he was helping Bloodsport, who is broken. So that was interesting. That the main character was the broken one, and this little sub character was the one that was helping him. So I thought that was interesting.
That's neat. Yeah.
Mhm.
I like that.
So now they're all free now. They're all free. They still have the bombs in their neck, but Bloodsport makes a deal with Amanda Waller that this hard drive, which is loaded up to a secret cloud account, will never see the light of day if they are left alone. We're not going back to prison. You're going to come pick us up, and then you're just going to leave us be. If anybody dies unexpectedly or in a tragic way that's not natural, I release it. If I die, it automatically gets released. If anybody's bombs go off, it gets released. So that's the deal, and Amanda Waller agrees. So it's interesting to see what will happen with these characters now moving forward, because DC is still very kind of up in the air with how their films are connected. So we don't know if we'll see these characters again. Maybe, maybe not.
Mhm.
But I will
So
say.
do you think Peacemaker may become the next leader of the Suicide Squad, being now that he's got a show coming up?
Yeah.
Um,
Well, let's get into that. So that is the
Yeah.
post-credit scene of the film. Peacemaker is not dead. He was found alive, and they've got him in a hospital, and he miraculously survived. And we find that two people from Amanda Waller's team were being punished because Amanda Waller was going to blow up all the heads of the Suicide Squad because they were like, we're not leaving the island. We're going to go help these people. She was going to blow their heads up, but they knocked her out so that they could save those people of Corto Maltese. So they're like, well, we got strapped with this guy, this douchebag. We're like, well, what do you need him for? Now to save the fucking world. So the whole premise of the Peacemaker series coming out in January is going to be a new mission that the Peacemaker is on for Amanda Waller. So could they put together a new Task Force X that he will now be in charge of? He has proven himself loyal to America and Amanda Waller.
That's for sure.
So maybe she'd be
Ratcatcher 2 knows what he's about, though. So she saw that whole scene. So I would be interested to know where that's going to go.
Yeah, so I don't know if she'll even have a part in this series or not, or what. But also, as of right now, Ratcatcher 2 thinks he's dead. So Amanda Waller could keep him secret.
Yeah. Okay.
So and Ratcatcher's not going back to jail. They're all free now. So possibly even though she knows what Peacemaker's really like, she may not know he exists anymore. So it'll be interesting. Because I thought once he was what I thought he was. Because I thought he was dead too. He got shot in the neck.
Yeah.
So I was like, well, his series must be a prequel series. But now we come to find out it's going to be a whole new mission, which there will be obviously flashbacks to his life. It'll explore the character further. His father is going to be played by Robert Patrick, the guy who played T-1000 in Terminator 2.
Yeah.
It looks really like a really, really good series. There's some other really obscure characters coming up in this one too. I don't want to spoil anything, so I won't tell you what characters are coming out, but there are some more obscure characters. James Gunn is, of course, just going for it. He's gotten free reign, and he's just taking the most obscure characters. Because the key is, you couldn't take Superman or Batman and do the things he's doing with them. But you can take an obscure character from the 60s or 70s that nobody even remembers and do whatever you want.
Yep.
So we've got Peacemaker to look forward to in January. You've got this movie for the next 30 days on HBO Max and in theaters. It'll be back. I think it comes back to HBO Max fully in November or December. All I can say is it's a fantastic film.
Yes.
It is James Gunn's opus. It is one of the best films I've seen in the last couple years. I've watched it, like I said, 3 times. I started a 4th time. I'm going to watch it again.
I have not heard one bad thing about it. I mean,
only
the bit of the trolls who want to say that it's not a part of the Snyderverse. That's it.
Well, I've had the people complaining that they can't take their kids to this comic book movie. It's like, well, no shit. It's R-rated. What do you think?
Yeah.
I don't think that it's that bad. I've seen way worse in comic book movies than this. Like, honestly, even the so-called strip club scene isn't that horrible.
Well, yeah, there was full male nudity and when they first got in to the jungle, and then but I mean, yeah.
All right, ladies and gents, I want to apologize real quick. You're going to see a weird jump here. I know we were in the middle of wrapping this up, but then Florida is Florida, and a thunderstorm decided to take out my power. So
yeah, it's heading my way now, too. I hear it.
Yeah, so we're back. It was just a little quick flash, so we had to pause for 15 minutes while my internet decided to take forever and a half to come back up. But we are back up, and we're going to go ahead and wrap this up. So, like we were saying, it's obviously an R-rated film. If you're going to be stupid and take your kids to it, at least do your research first. There is some blood and some guts. There's a little bit of nudity, which isn't even really that big of a deal. But, don't get upset because, I took my kid to see a superhero movie and they were cursing and there was blood everywhere. I'm like, yeah.
Well, first of all, they're not superheroes. And, it's R-rated.
So.
Oh, Denise, your audio is...
Denise, you're muted.
I was going to say Sausage Party. Speaking of that. It's
God.
No, but listen, we already know that it's horrible. Like, you don't expect it to be until the very end where it's just like blows your mind. But I think I don't know if it's on Amazon or if it's on Netflix or whatever, but there's no description for parents to read that whatever happens at the end. Like it's just, oh, the kid, they go and figure out what happens to them and that's it. So I don't know how many kids have actually seen this movie. They're gonna
Well,
learn today.
it is still
Learn today.
it is still rated R. It is still
Yeah.
rated R. So parents,
Well,
if they're letting
you
their
pay
kids watch
attention
movies,
to it.
if you put on parental controls, you're fine.
Okay. Well,
Mhm.
oh my God. I can't even
Yeah,
imagine how many kids have actually
Yeah.
accidentally seen this movie. Here you go, kids. Watch whatever movie you want.
Oh my God, no. Everything after the Meatloaf "I will do anything for love" scene in that film is
Done.
awful.
Yeah.
I remember you and I went to see that movie, and we're
Yeah.
big fans of all the people that are doing the voices, so we're like, oh, this ought to be funny.
Yes.
And then it just goes off the rails. We're like,
Okay, let's go.
Ah.
We're done.
Yeah.
We don't need
So
to see
anyways,
it anymore.
yeah. So, all in all, this is a great film. For the most part,
Yes.
everybody
Yeah.
loves it. It's like I think it's at 93% on Rotten Tomatoes.
Oh, good.
It's doing incredibly well. It is definitely by far DC's most successful film since the Dark Knight trilogy.
When your
So-
thing went out, Q and I were talking about our favorite parts of the movie, and mine is when Peacemaker takes the axe and just chops the dude laying there on the freaking table. Just chop, chop, chop.
He starts at his
Starting-
fucking shins.
Yeah.
my God.
So messed up.
Ah.
That is
That's-
hilarious.
oh, that's
I could not
brutal.
stop laughing. It was so funny.
For me, it's
What
that
was-
it's that same scene, but it's at the end of it where he uses the exploding bullet.
Oh
Yeah.
that was
That
cute
That was
too.
my favorite. So yeah, that was hilarious. Oh man, was dope.
Just wait,
Yeah.
Yeah, that was it, all in all, it's a great film. I would say so. My one thing I would say that I regret not happening in the film, or like the scene that I didn't like. The one thing I didn't like from this film was, and it's purely personal preference, is I wish we'd gotten more out of Javelin, because Javelin was played by Flula Borg, who is a German YouTube comedian turned actor, and he is hilarious. He is so funny, and he knows about timing and how to read a situation. So I would have liked to see more from him in this. But other than that, I can't think of anything else that bothered me about the film really.
No.
And that's all personal preference. So
Yeah.
so all in all, it's an A+ film. I can't. It's
Yeah.
just, it's so good.
It was
I like
it was
it.
fun. It had heart. Choreography, the fights were good. Um, a lot of the visual effects were great.
Cinematography
it
was
was
on
cinematography
point.
was great.
So yeah, I loved it. So that has
All right.
been the Two Geeks and a Noob review of Suicide Squad, a special edition episode for you guys. Like I said, normally when I do these, I just do little 10-minute reviews, but this one I had to talk about it with my friends here. We really had to discuss it, and we've gone now an hour, so it's just like an episode. So there you go.
Yeah.
Before we go, does anybody have anything else coming up?
No, I'm super excited for our guest on Wednesday.
Yes.
Can't wait
Yeah.
to
Super
have her
pumped
on.
for something else to jump to. Yeah, we
Yeah.
kind of had some puddle pads with I had the Long Halloween, and we had Suicide Squad, and now we are on to the What If series.
Yeah.
This is going to be quite an amazing series, and we have a very special guest coming on to talk about the first episode with us. So look forward to that on Thursday at noon, as is all our episodes. So episode 10 coming up. This is going to be a good one. Thanks a lot, guys. We'll see you soon.
Thanks. Bye, y'all.